Good morning, everyone. I have sent the link to Joseph literally 5 times. 5 times. So I put it in the chat. Once he's in, I'll delete the message, hopefully, and then I will block anyone else from coming in. Not that I think it'll happen. I'm just saying. And at least maybe it's a way. Maybe it's a way to get him in. Maybe. But good morning, everyone. We're going to talk today about basically what woke is. Okay, so I know. Roll your eyes. I can hear you rolling your eyes from here. Okay. Me and Joseph had this conversation many times, right? Many times. And now I think I figured out what it is. So we're going to talk about that. More importantly, we are going to talk about, is Jonah Hill an abuser? I realize I still have that text on the screen because I was making them earlier. And then we are going to talk about the text messages and then the Ana Kaboom stuff, right? The Ana Kaboom stuff. There has been a lot of fallout from the Ana Kasparian situation. And so much so, there is one trans host that left. They have had mods leave. And it's wild to me, the gaslighting that I have seen. From the left. So Joseph said, our host is a bum. While you wait, please hit like. Every like sends an animal carcass to a Republican Party in a box marked blood for ball. What the fuck, Joseph? Okay. All right. I suppose so. And we've got Robert. Fucking Joseph, claim you're at fault. LOL troll. I know, I even put it in the chat. I'm still waiting for him to. There we go.
I have gotten nothing. I had to email that link to myself.
Did you really? That is wild.
No, I promise I got nothing.
I sent it 5 times, and I just kept putting random things like in the subject matter. Like,
oh, maybe it's in my spam filter.
No, I didn't do that until like the 3rd or 4th time. But that's why I said check your spam folder, because I didn't know if I don't know, maybe because it says Nerdette's Newsstand. I don't know.
No, I get all the other ones.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
You should go right through. All right, well then let's jump right into it. You've kept them waiting long enough. So where do we go first?
Let me get this super chat first. In Fantasy I Die. Oh my God. It is so good to see you. I'm so happy to see you. Good morning, T. Woke up. Woke is getting up before your alarm and defeating it. That's right. Hope you are well. My IRL has been crazy lately. Well, I hope crazy in a good way. But thank you so much in Fantasy I Die. It's really, really good to see you.
I hope you're having a kick-ass time too, dude.
No shit. Crazy can be good, crazy can be bad, so hopefully it's good. All right, let's talk about this because we got a lot on the docket here. So I think we should start with I want to talk about this woke stuff because we've had this conversation so many times, right?
All right. Yeah, and I have no idea what it is you've discovered yet. So this is 100% new to me.
So I think I figured out what woke is. And I'm not trolling, I'm not joking, being like it's something you disagree with. I think it's when you use your ideology to put others down. That's it.
Put others down, specifically. That's it. It was 100% it.
It is when we'll use feminists as an example, right? We can use feminists as an example.
We can use feminists as lots of bad examples.
Yeah, that's true. But Batwoman. Remember that Batwoman show?
I didn't watch it, but I remember
Remember the cringe. You got to remember the cringe a bit.
Yeah, like I said, I remember wanting to gouge my own eyes out and jump off a roof. Yeah.
Okay, in that show, it would be considered woke because they were like, the suit's perfect. It'll be perfect when it fits a woman, right? Putting Bruce Wayne's original suit down.
His original suit?
Yeah, because it was originally Bruce's. I think in the show he either was gone or he died or something.
So did she just take the 60s campy suit and just make
it? No, she had to get the cool black one.
Oh, okay. All right. And where are we going with this? What's next? Okay,
but this is done in marketing also, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is done in marketing. A lot of times we see stuff like Birds of Prey. Remember that movie, right?
Yes.
Okay. Birds of Prey was like, it's about the misogyny in everyday life. Bitch, what? It's about Harley Quinn going batshit crazy. What?
Harley was worse than the men. What do you mean?
That's what I'm saying. It is very similar in my mind to something like a woke school, which I've talked about, where they're so progressive they get to be demeaning, right? Harley in that movie had some, I don't know, a little bit of like, what would it be? Like, what's the word? Microaggression towards her, where they were being misogynistic. But she gave it right back.
I think microaggression is just being a whiny little shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't think that's a legitimate expression of anything other than that's a way of dumbing down that you are petty.
Yeah, that's fair. But I also think like this situation is another way to look at woke. This situation with Ana Kaboom, right? They can't live outside of their bubble. So what they do is they put Ana down and don't take any responsibility for themselves. You're using this ideology in order to demean someone. And I think that's kind of what woke is. I could be totally off base here.
It's definitely something that a lot of people do. That's really all the different ideologies have been for. It's always been about putting down somebody else. It's never been about what's in it for us, how it makes life better. They just know how to use it to make everybody else's life worse. This basically saying you're not like us. It's just a bunch of othering. Everything is just a bunch of othering and labeling people, mislabeling people, and all to satisfy this self-importance that people have developed, and nobody's talking up what is beneficial to the rest of the world at the same time. Nothing. Everything is just what they hate. That's it. That's just how ideologies have been expressed for years now.
Well, I understand that, but you can't deny that there has been a mass influx of division in America, and right. So much so it's entwined in our entertainment. Like recently, it's okay. A recent example. Have you heard of that movie, The Sound of Freedom?
I heard of, and I'm not. I know it's going around right now. Tickets are on sale.
Now, the thing is it's not nobody's talking about it. Like, okay, I had a comment. I think it was Spiffy commented and said I should review it. And I'm like, I've heard it been going around. It's doing well in the box office. It had a very low budget. It's making money, right? So I was like, okay, this might be interesting. So I look it up. The people that are reviewing it are all, oh my God, it is, I don't know, killing lefties. All the lefties hate it. All this, all that. Mm-hmm. So it's woke marketing. It's a virtue signal marketing.
Mm-hmm. And
like there were people that reviewed it.
When, like you said, everything's about who you hate. Nothing's about what is in it for the rest of the world. That's it. Everything is just about what you hate, and that's why these conversations are always just so exhausting. That's why I think for the last year, I think you figured out this. Just these conversations all together are basically fruitless because all people talk about is what they hate. Nobody takes any action to actually make the world better. in a meaningful way, in some measurable way. Nobody is doing it.
No, and the thing is they're doing exactly what they hated movies like Harley Quinn for doing, right? It was like, what was that? Oh my God. On Amazon, that big rings thing, Power of Rings, Rings of Power.
Yeah, Ring of Power.
It was like, the racists hate this, da-da-da-da-da. But they're going, the lefties hate this. It's all, quote unquote, woke marketing. It's all to demean somebody else. That's the only thing I can think of that woke means after years of trying to figure this out. It's sad. It's really sad.
I think so. Yeah, it's really sad. It's irritating. I think just the whole conversation is irritating. Because we spent so much time. We spent 2.5 hours, you and I, right here.
Yeah.
We're not even in debate. We were at back and forth between square 1 and square 2. I think we may have got to square 1.5 at some point, I guess. And then we left it off at square 1 after 2.5 hours, an extended stream, trying to figure out what the hell this actually is, what this word actually means. We didn't have anything.
No.
We didn't have anything specific. But here's the thing, the way you're explaining it, that applies to anybody. Because a lot of people have just used the term to mean anything that's not far-right Christian. Typically, that's just how the term's been applied.
Or white cis male in entertainment. Yeah, damn it. I thought I had it. You're right. It can be applied for anything.
Yeah. Based on the way you said, then anybody using an ideology to bring other people down, then that's the meaning, I guess. But like I said, the way you applied it, anybody could be doing it. The way it's been applied, it would seem that there's only one grouping that is not woke by definition, whatever that is, and that would be far-right Christians who have always used their ideology to bring other people down. So by your definition, they are woke too. That's amazing.
Yeah. You're right.
Found a way to prove it.
And it's about like a lot of times when I see the marketing or the coverage of certain topics, it's always in a demeaning fashion. And I was thinking this Ana Kasparian, that's what made me think of this whole issue. And I was like, I guess I didn't think it through, because you're right. Every single facet of life, every single group at some point does do that. Mm-hmm. So that would mean everything was woke. And if everything is woke, nothing is woke.
Right. So here we are again at square 1. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. I tried. I swear, I try to understand people. I try to understand people and what they mean. And it's a lot of the time, it's so nonsensical. Even if I sit there and do research, we did research. And we still can't come up with a good answer. And even when I thought I had one, nope, I did not.
Well, you're not wrong to say that people, especially on the left wing, have done nothing but use their position to bring down the whole world. But like I said, they never do anything to make the world better. All they do is bitch until they get their way. And then when they don't get anything, they blame you. They never take blame for themselves. They can't do their own work. So they blame you. They blame you, me. They blame us. They blame everybody that won't just give them what they want. They'll never take blame for themselves because they can't move their own asses and get their own work done, make things happen for themselves. True or false? So anybody want to fight me on that, please do it.
And the thing is there's no accountability, none whatsoever. And that's what's so wild to me about this Ana Kasparian thing, because she's trying to take accountability for misreporting a lot of things, like the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, right? Mm. And it's like, oh my God, now she's insert buzzword here.
Well, what did she misreport?
She misreported that he legally obtained. Remember when the kind of talking point was the left, that he took a gun over state lines?
Yeah.
And he drove from state lines. Come to find out, he only lived a mile over state lines. Mm-hmm. he actually got the gun in the state. So all of it was done legally. Now his mom still needs her ass kicked. I'm just saying. But she misreported it, trying to take accountability for it. And now it's, how dare she? How dare she tell the truth? It's a bubble thing, right? We all live in our bubbles.
Yeah, truth ain't supposed to come out. That's the whole point of these people talking up and talking so loud as often as they do. There are things they like, things they don't like. Like, remember the whole hands up, don't shoot narrative? It said the dude was unarmed, and then they saw the body cam footage. The guy was armed. He had a pistol in his right hand. But to this day, people will say hands up, don't shoot. And that, I don't even know how long ago that was. I don't even know how long ago that shooting took place. But yeah, to this day, people will say hands up, don't shoot. Say that this man was shot dead for no good reason whatsoever. And yes, he was armed. Anybody, if you want to go, there are stills of it on Google. You can go find that right now and go look up the full video if you want. The man was armed. Yeah,
absolutely he was. And like that Kyle kid, he's a kid, right? He was little. Like
he was 17 during the incident. Yeah, he was 18 when he went to court.
But he was little in stature, right? He wasn't a big guy. He was terrified.
Yeah, he was
I'm
terrified.
sure anybody would be.
He was shoved to the ground, and the guy standing above him was reaching for a gun, and that's when Kyle reached for his own. Those are the things that all came out in court, by the way. The man who got shot first, we think he got shot in the arm. He admitted that he was reaching for a gun, and that is when Kyle reached for his own gun. So that right there solidified everything. That solidified the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse was in a defensive position. And 100% of people, people who don't want the truth, they're just going to say that. But I don't know what they're going to say. There's nothing else to say except the truth, and the truth is, Kyle was in a defensive position.
Absolutely. And then Bobby here says the narrative that she drove him there to go to this protest is false. He spent half his time there in Kenosha due to joint custody agreement. I mean, it was the whole situation was, there was people when the trial first came up thinking that he killed 3 black men.
Right. Because that was another thing going around. It was a Black Lives Matter protest, and was treated as something sacred, something you can't interfere with. So then a white man out there at all with a gun, a legal gun, by the way, a point of interest. The state where this took place, they don't specifically outlaw minors of certain ages to carry rifles,
right?
Because hunting is allowed in that state. So he did not break that law, just having possession of that 2-armed weapon that you saw.
And that's wild to me because I get it, but like Ana was just trying to she misreported a lot of stuff. She went, the problem with the media that I've really noticed on, and I think it was funny. It was, have you seen Chris Rock's Selective Outrage?
Yes.
Okay. There was one part when he goes, Republicans lie and Democrats leave out the truth. And I was like, holy shit. That is so perfect, because it's absolutely what happens. If you have a lot of lefties thinking that these were 3 black men, that this was illegally obtained, that he went over state lines, like, yes, they're leaving out a lot of truth. You have to put all the truth in there and let us make up our own minds.
Mm. And it's not what they're doing. And same thing with Ana. I bet you Ana was not a stranger to the majority of the facts that she says she misreported. I bet you she wanted to misreport this stuff because what was going on at the time was tension. Wait, let's think about this though. Because ever since Donald Trump's presidency, when it was first announced, people were laughing Nobody thought he was going to make it.
I genuinely thought it was a joke.
I watched the whole thing. I was having the time of my life. The way he harassed Hillary on stage, I occasionally go back to that video. That was just that was just an amazing moment. But now let's go a little bit further ahead. So he finally wins the presidency, and people are furious about it. Now, here's what happened there. There is no doubt that Trump's presence brought out the worst in a lot of people. But depending who you ask, it's the other guy's fault. But there's a lack of self-awareness all around on these far-end political movements. There's a lack of self-awareness. They don't see themselves as the problem. They are what's his down?
I did see this.
I didn't see that.
I did, but it doesn't change the situation, right? Yeah, he's a piece of shit little kid. But he still was in self-defense, right? Like, we can't look at stuff and go, what figure drawing is doing? And I'm going to single you out here. I'm sorry. What you're doing is exactly what the right did to George Floyd. He did this wrong in his, the past. He did this wrong in the past. Both sides do this. That has nothing to do with the current situation.
Yeah, and now here's the thing. None of that stuff comes up in trial because it's not legal.
Right. It's not relevant.
Yeah, there was a video that came out where it was about 2 weeks before the incident where Kyle was recording a bunch of people looting in his neighborhood.
Yes.
And he said, man, he said something like, something like, if I had a rifle right now, or something like that, then he'd show them up. Yeah, people say words in anger all the time. I hear shit like that all the time from people who are not in prison. I hear stuff like that all the time. But Kyle was being held to a different standard because he had already shot somebody. Things like this, that's why they don't admit this stuff in trial, because you can bias a jury. Now, if you don't think that's important, put yourself in that position. Who gets to take your words out of context and bias the jury against you if you're accused of a crime? If you don't have an answer to that, then that's my point. I'm not asking you specifically. I mean anybody listening right now. If you don't have an answer to that, then that's my point.
What? He didn't murder any black people, North Star Ken. I don't care if he's the reason why I even brought this up was because the Ana Kasparian thing, because she misreported it. And it's a lot of bullshit that's going around. His political backings doesn't matter, justice matters, right? The real true sense of the word. We can't go, okay, well, this dude's far right, so he's obviously guilty. We just can't do that. That's not how the world works. Robert, thank you so much. Basically, it's whataboutism makes things worse. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody just throwing around, because all political conversation has been about for the last few years is making people angry to gather the votes. Like something I brought up in our last stream, and basically the same thing. People get mad because here's what happens. The politicians pass laws that they know are going to fail in court. Like Biden, by example, he knew he was not that his plan to forgive loans. He knew that was not going to work. The Constitution says that power belongs to Congress. So by doing it with an executive order, with whatever pull he thought he had, he knew the courts were going to shut it down. He's been in politics a vast majority of his life. He knew 100% the courts were going to shut it down because this is one of the oldest constitution. This is one of the first constitutional powers. Okay, Biden was still a teenager when the Constitution was passed. Okay, so he knew goddamn well it wasn't going to work. And now you're seeing, and then you see also on, look, this happened here in California, San Bernardino County. Republicans made a proposal at a county level with San Bernardino County to have the salaries of the what the hell are they called? The county supervisor. Sorry. Anyway, so they got a proposal to get the county supervisors to have their salaries lowered by vote. It got a 2/3 vote, and it's an overwhelming vote. And it was shut down by the courts after it passed. Why? Because you cannot be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Voting is not due process. They knew that. They knew the courts were going to shut it down.
Yep.
They knew Democrats were going to take it to court because it's unconstitutional. And as much as they talk down on Democrats for going against the Constitution, they all know the Constitution. They all know what they're doing. And that's my point.
Right.
They do this stuff because they know the courts are going to shut it down. It makes you, the voter, angry. And then you vote some more. And that's all it is. And that's something I wanted to highlight in conversation. This is when the anger and frustration is highlighted, when it's diffused, these guys really don't have anything to use against you. But that's also why they keep it going. They know if you're not scared, if you're not angry, if you're not irritated, you're not going to give in to anything they have to say. You're not going to listen to anything they have to say. They don't have anything without it.
You have a fan.
What happened? I'm up on a stream. Well, okay, I'm off Monday to Thursday. So at this time, yeah, I'm off Monday to Thursday. Just email me. Let me know. I have your email.
I thought you were on Tuesday. That's why I asked you about Tuesday.
No, I'm off Monday but no, I have long weekends. My shifts are 12 hours.
Oh, that fucking sucks.
Okay. You remember when we streamed with Abel and I fell asleep? That's why I keep saying we got to do this on Tuesdays.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, the only reason I even brought up Kyle, you guys, I see a lot of people getting upset, is just because that was one of the examples Anna used specifically when it came to what she had misreported because not all the facts were given there.
And now, it was knowingly misreported. I want to make sure that part stays clear.
I don't know that it was knowingly. I'm told, again, warning everyone, I'm gonna simp. It's Ana Kasparian.
But look what we just got in the chat. Somebody commenting about how Kyle shot black people. Not a single person he shot was black. I think Ken was saying they just want to kill black people. Like, okay, I don't think that. I think he meant Kyle, and he said Kyle and right wingers in general. I'm not going to put intentions on somebody like that. I could say maybe like Nick Fuentes. I would agree with you with, right? No. Like. But this is something else that goes on in conversation today. The burden of proof is always being placed on the listener. And that's not how it's traditionally been. It's not the right way to do it. You always put the burden of proof on the speaker. That's right. To make sure you're not absorbing their lies. But when the burden of proof is on the listener, the lies tend to stand by themselves instead of the truth. So the speaker has to burden themselves to prove it. They don't have that. They have ideologies. They have platforms. These are treated as dogmas. These are gospel truths. That's all they have. But
what's that saying where it's like huge hyperbolic statements need a lot of evidence, and that's not at all the same.
Oh no, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Yes, thank you. And that's an extraordinary claim with very little evidence. Now, can we theorize that probably idiots like Nick Fuentes and the people at like, oh, I forget what they're called, the blonde girl from Politically something, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. We could probably theorize that. But am I going to say all right wingers? No, of course not.
Mm-mm. No,
like, that's ridiculous.
I had a friend, I knew him for about 20 years, and I got so fed up with him because he just kept regurgitating everything he absorbed on Reddit. And
oh no.
I know he just became one of these far left zealots, and it got to the point where I couldn't stand him.
Yes, her. Thank you. Wait, no, Politically. Yeah, the blonde girl. Thank you, Ken.
I've never seen Politically Incorrect. I'm thinking of that old show from Comedy Central, and it sucked.
No, it's this girl. The only time I ever saw her, she went on The Amazing Lucas, and I went into her side of the chat because they're not allowed on YouTube, so you have to go to a website. And it was N-word this,
oh boy,
ape that. Like, it was the most racist shit I have ever seen in my life. It was wild. Yeah, they are truly, truly bigoted people. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. For what it's worth, Lucas brings the worst out of everybody. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. He's relatively racist himself.
It's not relative. It's
And a homophobe. Yes, 100%. Like the worst kind of homophobe.
Well, anyway, as far as the misreport, like I was saying, sorry. My point being, everybody puts the burden of proof on the listener. And I had a friend that did this to me. And he's regurgitating all this stuff, all this far left nonsense. This shit is just irritating me. It got to the point. Here's the thing. I've always known that political fanatics are real, but they were so rare. I didn't think they were around every corner. Not like today. This was only a few years ago, by the way. I think I only stopped talking to him about 2 years ago. But before that, about a year before that, this was going on. And he was so bad, I kept telling him that he needs to seek help for drinking.
What?
I shit you not.
Was he drinking?
Well, he has had drinking problems before. And that's why I told him, you need to seek help. I'm serious. I'm not saying this to be a smartass because I like being a smartass. I'm telling you right now, dude, you need to get help right now because you need to stop drinking. I've never seen you this bad before. And he got mad because he kept yelling at me, I'm not drinking. I didn't know what the hell else was going on. I thought he was just in denial about his drinking problem. I 100% did not know he was just so obsessed with these politics that he can't shut up for 5 minutes. Like my phone is buzzing so much, it's getting hot. Oh
my God.
I had to mute his conversations just to keep my phone from going off. But like I said, that whole time, everything's is burden of proof on me. Like one of the conversations for a specific example around policing, I always heard these claims about excessive policing where minorities are prevalent. And I'm thinking, where the hell does that come from? Because my family used to live in the Los Angeles County. They left because cops don't go around enough. And they're huge. Okay, you can look at this right now. The Los Angeles County is very small. It's very populated, but it's very small. The sheriff's office alone has close to 10,000.
Oh, wow.
10,000 deputies.
Don't they have an issue with cops having gangs there too?
That's an age-old problem in Los Angeles.
That's what I thought.
But anyway, they have 10,000 deputies just in the Los Angeles County alone. That's just the deputies. The city level policing, it's going to add up a lot more. But police don't come around enough, and that's why my family moved out. So that's why he was going on and on about cops excessively policing minorities. I'm thinking my family never had that problem. They were always irritated because they could not get cops to come around. Their neighbors were getting robbed twice a week at some point. Completely different.
Wow.
For completely different from when they moved into that neighborhood. So when they couldn't get cops to come over, anything, nothing was getting solved. LA was just getting worse and worse. And yeah, they finally moved away. But stuff like that, he wouldn't take it. He kept telling me like I was giving into Fox News propaganda, and he's known me for years. I never watched Fox News.
Right.
I've always hated Fox News because I've always seen them as an extension of the church that has tried to hold back science forever. For 2,000 years, they have always tried to hold back progress in the world. And I've always seen the Republican Party, the modern Republican Party anyway, as a continuation of that movement. So I never showed them any support. So for him to say I'm giving into conservative media, I'm thinking, what the hell are you talking about? I don't listen to anything they have to say. I don't even read the news.
Right.
But if you were to talk to him, 100% of the time, the burden of proof is on me.
That's ridiculous.
And that's everything that goes around. Everybody speaks. The burden of proof is on everybody else but the speaker these days. That's a serious problem. We should be bringing that back.
I want to show you a little bit of this because with the Ana Kasparian stuff, it has caused chaos on the left, right? She talks to people on the right. That's a big deal. And I see it's wild to me, because we invited Figure Drawing on, you are still more than welcome to come on, that it's a grift. Why would she have a business for 15 fucking years and then be like, I think I'm going to go right wing. She would lose her entire audience in every dime she made. That's ridiculous. Maybe she just wants to report things correctly. Maybe it's okay. Why do we give? This pisses me off. Sorry, I'm going to go off here. Why do we give certain people rules? But if a woman feels uncomfortable with something, fuck her. It's so fucking stupid.
Play the video. Let's see what you got. Let's try and dissect this together.
In case it wasn't obvious from the title of this video, I'm done.
Benny used to work for the Young Turks and left because of this.
Pause for a second.
This is mostly about Cenk and Ana, but of course, since like
when you showed me when I saw the video come up, I thought you were gonna say that was Ana. I thought, holy shit, she was ugly when she was young.
No. This is Benny. Benny is one of their trans creators that they had on for a long time, and now they have left simply because Ana and a little bit of I never know how to say his name because it's Cenk, but is it Cenk? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, people have always said Cenk. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
I know the people that are like the big names on the network, and Cenk kind of like owns the company. It's a pretty big deal when they do something like, I don't know, become incredibly transphobic and start what appears to be a ridiculous right-wing grift. I mean, literally everything.
What? Hold on. What? If you know, okay, this is annoying. I'm sorry. It's annoying. People that know me know I'm not transphobic or homophobic. People that know and have watched Ana know the same fucking thing. But now, all of a sudden, she says one thing and she's just a terrible person.
That's the way the world is turning right now. Or it would
Why,
seem that
though?
way. Well, the extremists get all the volume. That's always been the case. And until people stop giving the extremists the volume, this illusion is going to continue. Well, unfortunately, as we already established, the politicians want this to continue because then you just go out and vote for your side some more. The facts will then be irrelevant. Once people start voting, chances are the facts have been irrelevant for a while. So that's why this is going to keep going that way. It's
so dumb. I have terrible hot takes, whether it's in movies or politics or TV shows. I have never seen anybody go, okay, well, you like being called a woman. Myself personally, I'm going to unsubscribe. No, I haven't. You like Love and Thunder. I'm going to unsubscribe. Why do we allow hot takes or bad takes? Why do we have to agree 100%? There we go. Why do we have to agree 100% with everyone ever?
A better question: who hates Love and Thunder? That shit was funny. I didn't get to finish it.
I know, right? It was good.
I can't get the goats out of my head.
It's literally a medical term. Nobody cares about it being used in a medical term. Nobody cares.
What's he talking about?
But the fact is that you do this like with the left, not you can do this gaslighting where it's only used in a medical term. Bull fucking shit.
Yeah, are they going on about birthing? I wasn't watching everything in the chat. They going on that birthing person bullshit again?
Yeah, that's what that's about.
I have never seen that in medical context until recent years. It was always been pregnant woman. Right. I have never seen birthing person in any of my descriptions of my policies with Kaiser. I've never ever seen anything come up that says
no. I've never truly, it's not used as much, but even now today, for the most part, there's just that basic assumption there. But you do have like a category where you can write in like you're trans or something when you're filling out forms and stuff. But it's not even used that much now. The problem is I would say it's less used in a medical context than it is used by people like AOC, by people on the left. Speaking.
She's a dumb
because they don't want the backlash.
And then she got backlash for doing that.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. She should known better and she doesn't back. Known better for what? It's wild. She didn't do that part. Like her one tweet was cringe about the civil rights stuff. But this is at some point you got to realize that it was not that big of a deal. And it's not transphobic to want to be called a woman, especially when you support trans rights 100%. That's wild to me. Albus, thank you so much. Mr. J's Puddin' Whiz, thank you. You don't believe we have to agree 100% and have to share every brain cell? How could you? We can't be friends no more. Unsubscribe. No. I'm saying the idea that Ana supports conversation to me shows me that she's at least opening or at least willing to have conversation and discourse and disagreement. And that is okay. That is normal. You don't have to live in a bubble where you agree with somebody on everything. It's fucking ridiculous, you guys.
No, individual differences matter. That's always been my argument. 100% of the time. You've heard me say that 100% of the time since I first got here. Individual differences matter most.
And we're at the point where they don't. If you don't,
no, they still matter. It's just a lot of people believe they don't matter, believe they shouldn't matter because somebody else said so. And this is why you put the burden of proof on the speaker, not the listener.
The weird thing to me is also, it's sad to see you falling for Ana's scam. What scam?
Well,
you were acting like, and that's so rude, figure drawing. Like I'm so fucking stupid. I'm falling for it.
Let's actually see what we're falling for first. Is that captured in this video?
Oh, this is her talking about her story on TYT. Now there has been a lot of so Vosh did a reaction and was saying she had a white woman moment, being super fucking misogynistic and disrespectful. Same with the Amazing Atheist, who I really, really like. And we looked at the Xander Hall one last week. Like, they're all just being, like, honestly, being misogynistic. I'm sorry. It's the truth.
From the things that they said about homeless people to the stuff that they said about abolitionists and their general sort of like refusal to hear the people that are criticizing them and saying, no, this is what people are actually trying to say. You're not really hearing what we're saying, or you're not listening. Now, we're not going to focus on literally all of the right-wing things that they've been doing lately, especially in the past year. They've done this pivot where they go after prison abolitionists, people who say defund the police, homeless people, and anybody that they think is a radical left. Because, doing the enlighten the centrist thing is really a smart move in this year, 2023. Right? I still got that calendar right. No, we're mostly going to be focusing on their transphobia, which they have been escalating rapidly, which I guess is something that everybody really predicted would happen starting, I think, about 4 months ago, when Ana Kasparian put out a tweet complaining about the use of the term.
Did you see this? This is the birthing person thing. Did you initially see this?
I remember coming across it. I actually do think somebody sent that to me already, but
yeah, like it wasn't.
Yeah, we did talk about, or you brought this up last week.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I deserve the respect to be called a woman, just like a trans person deserves the respect for their pronouns. What is the fucking difference? And why do we not get the same respect? It's wild.
Birthing person, which is really, really funny because she kept on talking about how, racist women, and it minimizes womanhood down to just body parts. Except for it literally doesn't. Everybody immediately pointed out that that's a silly
We already talked about the bonus hole bullshit, how dehumanizing it is.
Interchangeable actually does reduce women to body parts. And what precipitated this is even more silly because it was originally in reference to AOC and other politicians using the term when they're talking about abortion rights. And I don't know if you know this, but abortion rights are pretty specific to people with uteruses who are capable of having children. And so the term birthing person is a pretty useful term to be narrow enough to be specific, but also cover all of the relevant.
I'm irritated by this because people have I've known this for years, that occasionally men are born with uteruses. The part they don't tell you is that those uteruses, they have a Y chromosome, at least one Y chromosome. There has never been a male to give birth. Any male with a uterus is never actually given birth.
I think they're talking about trans men.
No, but there's something I'm getting at. The uterus is necessarily a female organ. Female, or what we call women. We don't really say female. We're not, we don't talk about each other like we're in science class. And now here's something that goes around, because people bring this up, the fact that men have had uteruses supposedly fully functional, And this is used to distort male-female differences to say that these are lies. Shut up, Ken. I don't care. Anyway, anyway, no male has ever pushed out.
What did you say that was transphobic?
Because that's the thing. Remember, you got to understand where these distortions in male and female really come from. As far as I know, well, I know there's a long history. You can talk about Greeks using weird, like a bunch of weird pronouns back then, but at least in American politics, as far as I know, this has been a left-wing thing because there has always been debate in left-wing that. So back when liberals actually believed in liberation. Those principles are more known as libertarian principles today, but they screwed them all up. So back when the classical liberals, the ones that just believed in individual liberty and believed in native goodwill of people, and there were also the anarchists at the same time. They mostly believed in the same things, but they did have some sharp disagreements, one being like government. The classical liberals did believe that military and police forces could be legitimate if they enforce the real concerns of the people. Anarchists obviously didn't think so. But also at the same time, there was debate over the meaning of equality, what it actually means to be equal. So from the liberal or libertarian perspective, better stated today, they believed individual differences matter not as long as people are not using violence or any real threat of violence to get their way in life. In the anarchist position, yeah, it's similar, but they also didn't believe that they believe that in order to have equality, any perception of class, like male and female by example, all that perception needed to be distorted or destroyed to have equality, because of individual differences, people would form individual hierarchies, and that would defeat the purpose of equality. So this is an age-old conversation in American politics that just got a lot of notoriety in recent years. Right. And again, everything was about sticking it to the right wing. And now what Democrats did is amplify voices. They amplified so many voices that now they're incoherent. Now these people don't all like each other, which I knew was going to happen. That's what happens when you get a bunch of angry people in one room. They start hating each other. And for something like this, when it came down to the use of something like birthing person, this was going to irritate women. I knew this wasn't going to last. Because
it is dehumanizing.
Well, it is dehumanizing. Here's why. First off, the struggles that women have really faced because of their differences, that was not a birthing person difference. There weren't men with uteruses facing those differences. The men who came after these women knew exactly who they were going after. And what comes up at the same time when the conversation around birthing person arises, it has in recent years been used to diffuse any conversation around the struggles of women. Because if you say struggles of women, then automatically somebody's going to judge you because you didn't say birthing person.
Right.
Because you refuse to distort male and female on behalf of people that you didn't even know existed, on behalf of a few people that want to have the dominant opinion, that want to have all priority in your thoughts at all times. And what has it done other than make things worse?
Let me get this real quick from Albus. Albus, thank you so much. But I like my bubble. Can I keep living in my bubble if I pay rent? And the world outside is stupider. Please, please, please. I mean, to be fair, I understand people living in a bubble, but you have to step outside someday. You can stay in this bubble, Albus, but you're also a lot more logical than I've seen most. Like, Albus did help me understand the whole situation with affirmative action and stuff, and give me some information on that, and send a lawyer. Like, yeah, you can stay in the bubble because your bubble's good. Also, I think this is really good to point out. Where was it from? A-Base. Right here. How about we start calling you erection provider? How's that sound to you? Semen supplier. Like,
that's funny.
Men are people with penises. Like, what? It's only women too. It's not the same. It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah. Like I said, the term, unfortunately, because birthing person became. Well, it's only really one side of the political spectrum that wants to make it relevant. But listen to my choice words, make it relevant. And all that shit's funny, Wayne Givers. But okay, but back to the seriousness of the conversation before I start laughing again. The whole birthing person thing, has distorted, or it has been used to distort perception of male and female. And like I said, women's struggles were real. Okay, back when Rage Against the Machine actually cared about women's struggles, they wrote a song about a woman getting a gun to fight off her abuser.
Yeah,
that was
Rage
back
is
then.
good. Rage and System of a Down, those political bands, they did so much. Like, we need that again.
That'd be nice, but unfortunately, socialists have always been hive-minded people, and as trends change, they all change. That's why Rage Against the Machine, they've always been openly libertarian socialists, but they gave in, and they started using birth in person too. The same thing. Like I said,
and that's the thing. I don't have a huge issue with it in a medical context, but it's not specifically only for a medical context. And it's honestly, it's so shitty when you see people like Vosh going, okay, well, she's having a white woman moment. She's just a girl, blah, 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 blah. Like, why are the struggles of some people
he's a dick
so fucking big? But if Anna, who got sexually assaulted, fuck her, she has to deal with it. It's ridiculous.
Again, just as you've seen how the Christian right denounce Christians that are not Christian enough, you will see the left wing. They're going to do the same thing. As soon as they don't like you, fuck you. As soon as they don't like you, fuck you. That's what's going to happen. They've always been like that. They've always othered people that.
I mean, the right does it too, just as much, right? It's everything's to own the libs, to do, the left hates this, the groomers, this.
It's all, it's different. It's the same effect with different causes, though. But it's the same thing. They have their gospel truths, their dogmas. Whoever has gone against it is the problem. And then, funny, you see all these conversations about how Christianity and socialism don't mix, but they use the same tactics. On the far ends, the extremists, they use the same tactics. They otherize everybody. Everything is about in-group, out-group. And they have been contributing to these dynamics so that they can have the dominant presence around the world. Everything is about the dominant opinion, the dominant view, and control of that.
But the biggest issue I see now with the left is the left was winning for so long, but they went so radical in the past few months. People have pushed back. And I'm not saying it's everyone's fault. Obviously, it's not. But there are issues that a lot of people won't agree on. One of them, I've said, is sports. One is bathrooms, right? But they fail to concede any points at this moment and wait for the general public to start accepting. Like, you're gonna lose. And that's a big issue that Chink was talking about. You have to play it smart. If you want and you're for human rights, then work towards it.
Work towards it, not demand it. Yeah, yes. Right. But that's also what's been going on with Birds in Person. It's been a demand.
Yes.
And look how many times women have tried to talk about their struggles, and then somebody comes on with the birthing person thing and all these made up terms, all these made up blank phobias that you are, and throwing them at women for talking about something that is age old in history.
And it's very easy for somebody like me who is pro women's rights to get labeled a TERF, even though I support trans people. Even though 100% I support trans people, it doesn't matter. I'm not woke enough, right? Stupid. Mm-hmm. Let's get into a little bit more of this.
And that's why politicians have been using it in that context. Since posting the original tweet, literally it seems like they keep going back and forth whenever they hear that argument. Basically, if there's somebody reasonable in the room with them saying why the term birthing person might be used, then they're like, yeah, I guess it makes sense in that context, but I just don't like it. But when somebody reasonable isn't around, then they just go and complain about the term birthing person again. And that really is why so many people predicted that they were going to go into this extreme TERF pipeline, because, of course, that's a very common starting point right there.
Exactly what I said.
Racing women. Oh my god. Then everything escalated when they decided to talk about trans people in sports, which is a very common thing.
And this is the problem. See how the labeling starts? Everything, all the labels will start getting thrown around.
Without any evidence.
Okay, I'm taking this guy started male, right?
Yes.
What's okay? At birth, you did not this one on camera on the video. Sorry, you did not know women's struggles. You did not pay to get surgeries to learn women's struggles.
Right.
You might have different struggles. No argument for me. People who transition do face certain struggles, but you do not know the women's struggles historically. You have not
100%, and that's okay.
Right. Well, yeah, honestly, you shouldn't. It sounds like it sucked. But just because you got a surgery doesn't mean doesn't mean you know equally, and it doesn't mean you know better at all. And I'm probably saying too much about this one speaker right now. But the kind of labeling that we're seeing here in this video right now, that's something that's dictating conversation, not discourse. Discourse means that people are listening to each other. What
right.
We're seeing is we're definitely seeing it in conversation. We're seeing labels get thrown around as if they're meaningful. And here's the thing: if people don't even subscribe to your labels, you just look like an idiot talking out of your ass. So that's something that's holding that's holding these movements for support and equality. That's something holding them back. They're throwing around all these empty labels. You convince yourself they're meaningful because they're meaningful to you. I remember years ago people talking about just the word homophobia and thinking, what do you mean phobia? I'm not afraid of nothing.
Right.
And now I know when you look at the etymology of phobia, it denotes irrationality. But that doesn't mean somebody's afraid. And here's the thing.
Oh my God. Ken, do you really think that Joseph doesn't care about queer people? That's fucking ridiculous.
I've had these conversations. He's the same thing. You can go to some of your older videos. I've had conversations with him, the same thing. If you don't regurgitate what he has been force-fed, then he throws around the labels. That's just the way he's conditioned to think, which isn't very thoughtful at all. Now,
sad though, because
I will not name.
People should know you better by now.
Well, that's the thing. This isn't an ideology that comes with knowing people. It's an ideology of preconception. They are told by gospel truth how people are supposed to be, and then they go and look at the real world, and then they start filtering people who's right and who's wrong based on preconception. Individual differences get rendered irrelevant. Now, Guy, you in the chat, wise up. You don't strike me as a bad guy, but you're a misinformed man. Please.
For sure. Ken's awesome, but like, that's what it's wild to me is like.
Take a moment and give individual differences the priority. I promise you are going to face a lot of correction. It will be, when it's all said and done, it will be more relieving than anything else.
Yes. Robert, thank you so much. Funny how when someone like Joseph states actual facts, because it goes against the political viewpoints someone has built up, they immediately say they're lying. They're not true. They're denying. Insert extreme example. It's so selective ignorance, and it can be used on both sides, right? It's okay to want to call the woman on the left. It's okay to realize that the election wasn't rigged on the right, or every election there, that's been lost. It's okay, guys.
And like,
but no, he didn't misgender Benny. He just asked if she was born male. That's it. And I accidentally just misgendered Benny, but I don't have, obviously it was an accident. And I'm not transphobic. I've watched Benny on the Young Turks for a long time.
Guys, I want to give you a lesson in individual differences before we continue to the point of the conversation. I do not agree that misgendering is a crime or necessarily an offense. It's something that people take offense to. That doesn't mean that any kind of, first, I hadn't even heard of the word misgendering until a few years ago. I'm not
right.
In my mind, that's just not a legitimate term. Now look at somebody like Tristan, who will voluntarily and 100% of the time will go along with anybody else's preferred pronouns. I have no judgment for her, even though I will not do the same. I can show you somebody that's damn near far right. I don't think far right is fair, because at far right things get really racial. It does be, white supremacy, true white supremacy. Yeah, true white supremacy is a far right thing. that's not this guy. Now, he is goddamn conspiracy theorist. Don't get me wrong. Especially, I mean, his entire YouTube channel is dedicated to talking down on the left wing only. But if you were to ask him personally about pronouns, he will do just like Tristan. He will voluntarily go along with the pronouns that other people want out of personal choice. He says it's polite. He sees no harm in doing it. He says fine by me. Take that home with you guys. Let that soak in. Individual differences exist. But the conversations you've been having have fooled you into thinking that the individual differences are irrelevant. They are not irrelevant. They are not irrelevant unless you choose to make them irrelevant, but you have to choose to do it. So give individual differences a chance and watch how much you learn. I promise you it's more enlightening than you think. I'm ready.
Okay, that's what it was. Exactly, it was a slip of the tongue. I don't think he meant that. Like I say, hey guys, right? And it's not a gendered thing. I
commented, and as Raymond pointed out, I commented that you in the video, you were born male, and just because you got a surgery to transition for whatever reason, cosmetic or not, just because you got a surgery does not mean you understand women's struggles. And the reason I brought that up is to highlight that women's struggles were real. There's a real reason they came out. They brought this up. There are real reasons that people who, when they reasonably advocate for guns, they want women to have them because the chances are that's a good chance for her to survive.
Yes, absolutely. Carry, ladies, carry.
All right.
100%. And this is, Shelby said, are you anti-trans because you two detransition? I got a lot of shit when we had Abel on, and I literally, Joseph, I'm not kidding, had somebody compare him.
Well, hold on, your audio cut out. Can you start over?
I'm sorry.
So I remember you talking about you did get a lot of negative feedback at the same time.
I mean, there was a lot of positive feedback. Don't get me wrong. I like hearing people's stories. I like knowing all sides of the situation. And that's why I thought that was such a good interview. But I got somebody comparing Abel to Kanye West. I'm like, what? What?
Well, because all black people look alike? Is that what he's saying?
I don't know, but it was like, I don't know. It's such a weird situation for me to see people go, okay, I wanted them to be trans before, but now that they figured out that wasn't their identity, their true identity, now they're a traitor. No, that's not how it works. No, again, going back to individual choices.
And more than that, though, remember, Abel highlighted a serious problem when he was told he should get the surgery. Someone told him by the way he walks, he should have been born a woman.
And he was given hormones, day one?
Yeah, and remember, he didn't even question it. He just took it. He took the expert seriously. And he spent thousands of dollars to transition. The thousands of dollars to transition back, and he's paying those consequences for life, and all because he took a professional's word too seriously when he did not have the facts. And again, this is why you burden the speaker to prove, not the listener, so we don't pay for somebody else's mistakes.
Wait, right. Shelby, what? Wait, who the detransition? Wait. What did you say please for? I'm confused. Albus, holy crap. Thank you for the memberships. We got new members. We got Dewan, and then they're coming through right now. Thank you. I appreciate you. But I'm a strong believer in order to argue for one side, the side you believe in, you need to know both. And I think that's why some of these stories are so impactful. I would love to find a trans person and interview them. I would be ecstatic to have that interview. I had an open invitation for months. But nobody wants to come on my channel. I'm not woke enough, guys. It's fine, though. I'm okay with that. Gray! Nerd Girl Jean! Yay, you guys are members! Michael, make sure you push allow gifting.
thing that a lot of cisgender people like to complain about because they don't understand how hormones work. And instead of attempting to try and get any type of understanding, they just want to sit and argue about their assumptions about how they think hormones should work. They come in with all of these assumptions about biological males and think that there's some sort of magic secret advantage that just exists persistently regardless as to what hormones are literally dictating what your body is doing at the time. And that's where I came in, and I started tweeting at some of the hosts saying that, hey, you're wrong about this, that, or the other thing.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. I should ask Liana if she knows
reached
someone.
out to people within the network to say, like, hey, I would like to maybe sit down with Jenk and maybe even have an on-the-air conversation where I could talk about how all of this stuff actually works. You know, I may not be a doctor, but I like to think that in my master's degree in biotechnology and my experience literally being a trans person, who, by the way, most trans people will do a ton of research about hormones before they get on them because a lot of doctors don't really know that much about it. So that's actually...
But that's not always the case. We literally highlighted that.
First off, that highlights a profound amount of irresponsibility. If people have to go to the internet because their doctors don't know enough, that's a problem. Because a lot of medical information,
that's a big issue.
Yeah, you know, as a nurse, and a lot of medical information is controlled.
I'll be perfectly honest. Nurses know more a lot of the times.
Yep. Well, you do the paperwork. You read the charts. Yeah. Like you do a lot of the heavy work, so the doctor can do some of the heavy work.
This is what Shelby sent. This is what Vosh said. Oh my God. As if I could have even less respect for a person.
But the Vosh is a shithead anyway.
He's a dick. Like, I accidentally, when I was mad, said retarded. He says it every fucking time I click on one of his videos.
Well, remember, he's on the right side of his audience. He also looks like a Yorkie with glasses. It's funny.
Oh my God. Kind of.
A lot. Looks like he smells just as bad too. Shit. I saw this is if you really care to, but this highlights the problem that we're seeing today when it comes to science versus left-wing politics. Because he did an interview. Her name is Deborah So. She's a Canadian. She's basically a sex researcher. She has a number of degrees, but anyway, she is not truly left. She's a great example of an independent because she's an atheist. She's an atheist like me. So the right wing dismisses her automatically. And she does not deny the science of male and female. So the left wing hates her automatically. She has an interview out there with Vosh on her channel. And you can see exactly what I'm talking about. When you burden the speaker to prove, they have nothing. They just throw fits. All right. He is not a scientist. He's not a biologist of any kind. He, at the time, was going for a bachelor's degree in sociology, but he was not really equipped to combat a lot of what Deborah had to say. And towards the end of the conversation, he starts throwing out all these political talking points, the usual transphobe, homophobe bullshit, when there's nothing else to lean on. You don't have, it's like they say in law, when you can't pound the facts, you pound the table. And all he did was pound the table. So you have to go see that at the end of you can see that at the end of the interview, but I encourage people to watch the whole thing just so you can see there's a difference between science and left-wing politics. In fact, political fanatics have always hated science, whether it's Democrat, Republican, or Libertarian. Right. And especially like libertarian, they say if something's not objective, then it should be disregarded. Science is all about the objective, and they up and down, they dismiss all psychological research. They still subscribe to these old myths that schizophrenia is just art.
It's just art, guys. It's just art.
Yeah, these people fighting with people who not only think they're Jesus, but they fight with other schizos over who's the better Jesus. Yeah, it's just individual expression. No, these people are fucked. The genes responsible for schizophrenia were identified years ago. In libertarians' mind, it's still not enough. They will just move the goalposts because people who subscribe to politics will not give in to science readily. We have seen that. No, for sure. And that's left and right wing. That problem's always been there. But again, unfortunately, these these recent conversations about gender have all distorted the value of science to the point where now the right wing is starting to seem valid to less informed people, because the left wing just took it so goddamn far that the right wing basically is in some sense in the position to say, "Hi, I told you so." And it's sad to see, like you said, they used to be, when the left wing was called liberal. I don't know why, they were never that liberal, but still, they were actually winning already. But then everything became about getting back at Donald Trump, and that's when things started escalating to where we are now. This is fucked.
It is, and it's an issue when the loudest voices are the ones that are being heard instead of the general public. I would venture to say that the general public is for trans issues, is for human rights, basic human rights, whether it's queer, black, or trans. But you're going to have that subset. But if you look online, whether it's on YouTube, on Twitter, I don't know, probably other platforms too, you would think opposite, because there is like a trans panic. There is this stuff. But I don't think that but I don't think that goes into the general public like what you would think. Like, as far as, even if we talk about the bathroom issue, I'm not I don't have a big deal about the bathroom issue. I don't want Blair White or Samantha Lux to have to go into the men's restroom. That's fucking ridiculous. That's ridiculous in my opinion. And a lot of times when it comes to that kind of issue, you're going to have parents that don't want their child in there because they don't understand. And you're going to have women that have been assaulted before that are a little bit scared. You can't push those to the side and just call them bigots. And that's what I see a lot of the time.
Yes, and unfortunately, that's been dictating these conversations for a while now. All this political rhetoric that's basically been to diffuse you. So anything you have to say critical, it's all just used to diffuse you. Like everything you just said is a valid concern. So people say, let's just make all restrooms all access, right? So get rid of all the urinals, make them all stalls, right? Do all that whole thing. So now it doesn't matter where you go, but remember, it's usually the men that take advantage.
Absolutely. And if they're gonna a bathroom sign, whether it's male or female, is not going to stop a predator. I understand that 100%. But you still can't push away parents that are nervous for their little girls to go in there. You have to make them understand. You can't just go, "You're transphobic. It's over. This conversation is over." No,
that was never going to work.
Doesn't work.
No, it was never going to work. It's all over Twitter, and the vast majority of these people think Twitter is the known universe, and that's the problem. The real problem is they don't know what sunlight is anymore.
Yeah, that's very fair. I want to make sure. I want to talk about this issue. I sent it to you late last night. I hope you got it.
I did get the video. Here's the thing: when I see something like this, I go straight to the original content. I go straight to the text. So I didn't go through the video, but I know about the headline. In fact, I have one. That one where in purple is one that stands out to me to show that these texts are not complete. This is all selective.
This is all okay. Jonah Hill going around as these people saying he's an abuser. I can guarantee. Okay, first off, there is one I want to show first, right here in the middle, where he says, basically like his boundaries. If this were a woman saying it, they would be like, "You go, girl. You stand up for yourself."
You know, it's funny that everybody has so many mixed reactions. Like when you sent me the link, I went to look for what's this thing called sunlight. I don't even, as much as as lazy as most of these people are, I don't even think they know what drive-thrus are anymore. Right? Well, but okay. So when I went to look this up, I went to YouTube for a shorter video, something more direct, something with a headline and something shorter, just to get a quick understanding.
Right. No, I get it.
So I'm scrolling down YouTube, and then I see a world-renowned white apologist, Deborah So, talking about how a feminist is trying to cancel Jonah Hill. And one video below that is well-known white predator, Amazing Lucas, calling Jonah's comments ridiculous. Or no, pathetic.
And then he was calling him basically saying I didn't watch the video, but I seen him talking about it on stream for a minute, calling him a cuck, saying he's insecure, saying he's this. So I'm saying, like, we would not be having the same conversation if there were a woman. It is okay to put up boundaries.
Right.
It's healthy.
But now, so I saw what was in the one in the middle, talking about how she needs too much attention from men, saying that she's sexualizing herself in public. And he's saying if that's who you are, then he's not the partner for her. I don't see a problem with that. Now, I know people call that out because Jonah knew what he was in for when he met her.
Right, because he met her through her pictures like that.
Right, and I see that frustration. Maybe he thought things were going to change. Well, they didn't. That is a tough break. I feel bad for him. I don't think he's a bad guy for wanting dreams to come true. But I don't think he's a bad guy for wanting dreams to come true. It wasn't a realistic wish. That one over there to the right with the purple, that one right there irritated me the most. And that's what said to me this was selected. Can you make that one? Can you make that one bigger for them?
Yeah, I think so. The thing was also the timing was so suspect because they've been broken up for a long time, first off. And then to add insult to injury, not only have they been broken up for a long time, he just had a baby. He just had a baby a month ago. And now she seems like a bitter bitch. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I guess this whole thing struck me as vindictive, especially because it's a selective. So here she in the purple. So she's talking about what her therapist supposedly made her do. Remember, a therapist can't make you do anything. They don't put a gun to your head and make you do anything.
Right, exactly.
Now, here's the thing. It doesn't tell you why the therapist came up with this at all. Is it in response to something she said or response to something he said? We don't know that just from this text. And even if she said that in the text, that's still not really the therapist doing the talking. The therapist isn't going to. So she's taking advantage of this whole situation as far as I can tell.
Yeah, and Shelby said she was just releasing her first single. I didn't even know that. She's wanting attention.
Yeah, this whole thing strikes me as a grab for attention. Now, with all that in perspective, so far, this looks like a call for attention. This is just, now she's going to get the interviews she wants. Yeah. Now she's going to get the hits on Twitter and Instagram, whatever hell she has. Now she's going to get all the hits. It's all going to be at Jonah's expense. Whatever the legitimacy of these, again, these are all selective, first of all. I don't have a complete context here.
No, not at all.
And even, now here's another thing. The one in the middle, at the bottom, he talks about how her decisions have broken their trust before. And I feel
exactly. And then boundaryless and inappropriate friendships with men. Did she cheat on him? Didn't that there was something weird about that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now here's another thing. I don't see any text where she's combating this. I don't see any text where she's saying this. Now, maybe these are the only texts so far. Okay. So we're going to comment on what we see so far. Where's the rebuttal? Where's the resistance?
Where's the no, I'm not okay with this, or okay, I can do this, but let's make a compromise on this. Like the boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men make me wonder what she's been doing. Why did he specifically put that? Like surfing, to my understanding, she's a pro surfer. That's silly. Like posting pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, that one's also silly to me, and maybe even mildly controlling, simply because she was a surfer. He knew that was her job. You don't go in and try to change somebody in the relationships. It's not one of those situations where you're like, I can fix her. I can fix her. But the other ones, I don't know.
Well, like I said, where it says, my boundaries with you based on the ways these actions have hurt our trust.
Yes.
And like I said, she's not fighting back. The text don't show her fighting back. So it doesn't show this comment, her following comments, and then something else after that. That'd be a little bit more, that would be a little bit more supportive. If you're trying to say Jonah's the bad guy, that would be a little bit more supportive. We're not seeing anything like that in any of these texts. Anything that's been released so far, unless something's come out since this conversation started today, I'm not seeing anything damning. So I'm seeing two people that didn't get along in a relationship so far. I don't know. And I don't see. So okay, let's start from the top with the big one, the inappropriate friendships with men. Where are the details on that? The sexual pictures of herself.
No man would want that anyways.
Right.
I mean, I get like women do like to feel beautiful. They do. But there's a difference between feminine beauty and sexualization. For sure there is. I could see how this might be a little, just because she had been a surfer before, that's how like, I think, is it this one? Let me see. No, there was one where he had, basically, that's how they met. He had texted her and said, you know, you're beautiful, something along that, right? I could see how, like, posting pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, that's kind of a little, I don't know.
Well, I imagine,
a little over the line.
I'm trying to give him some credit. I can imagine feelings changing over time.
Yes.
So initially he said he was okay with it, then he wasn't, and that's where I say tough break, and not because I don't think he was necessarily wrong to try, but if he can't, his wish ain't going to come true. That was the bottom line. But he, like you say, he already let that go a long time ago. He just had a baby. Plus, she's just releasing her new single. All the timing was perfect for these texts that she clearly saved for good reason.
Right. And the thing is I could understand the bathing suit one if it had nothing to do with her job. Right? Like, say she was a lawyer. Okay. But it has to do with their job. That's where I'm like, that's a little weird.
Long John Silver's.
Yeah, and then she's posting like pictures of her in her bikini, like her thong bikini or something. I could get that. But the rest, it really does. What kind of man really wants his woman to post sexual pictures? What kind of sexual pictures had she been posting that made that conversation even happen?
Well, like I said, a lot of context is missing. There are more questions than answers. The answers are not here. If you're being fair-minded, you are raising questions. Fine if you have questions, but nobody is right to say they have answers just based on this.
But he literally says at the end, I'm not the right partner for you. If these bring you to a place of happiness, I support it, and there will be no hard feelings. He gave her an out.
All right, and she took it, right?
I don't know if they broke up at that moment, but I really don't see how he's this, I don't know, controlling, misogynistic, abusive piece of shit. Because I'm telling you, if this was reverse, if this was a woman putting this stuff up about her man, people would be like, yes, she's standing up for herself. Go, girl. But because it's a man, we're looking at it differently. We're looking at it in a different aspect.
And again, an underlying theme in both conversations since this has started, there's labeling. I hate those terms. Narcissism, psychopath, all this bullshit is being thrown around. And these just became ugly labels. They don't have any specific meaning. They really don't. Like you may have seen that narcissistic personality disorder was added a few years ago to the DSM.
Right.
That is a huge problem. There's a paper out there from it's a researcher, I think he's somewhere in Europe. But he commented on a lot of the problems with this diagnosis, putting it in the DSM. Because narcissism, here's the thing, because narcissism in the purest sense of the word is just related to self-esteem. And yes, some people are assholes. That doesn't mean that they actually have a psychological problem, but that's something that's been going on when people politicize psychology. They take the parts they like to fit a narrative. Stop me if that sounds familiar, you know. And people have always handpicked from psychology. People have always handpicked from psychology. The left wing, especially right now, they look to a few scientists that talk about these gender distortions, but a lot of things are being left out. Take it upon yourselves, people, to read about the extensive research that went into the evolution of the Y chromosome, something that people on the left will tell you is basically irrelevant. Like all it does is change exteriors. There's a lot going on. when it comes to our biology, our evolution, those small differences that add up dramatically. Right? You think if people who think small differences don't matter, I think our DNA is somewhere between 95 to 98% identical to chimps, but we can't get blood transfusions from chimps.
Right, exactly.
We'll die. Okay, so you think small differences in biology don't matter? Then look no further. Burden yourself to explain why blood transfusions from chimps. Burden yourself to explain why that's not a problem if tiny differences in our biology don't actually add up to affect the larger whole. The Y chromosome is one of those tiny differences, except it's in every single, it's in every fiber of our being. For fuck's sake, I believe chromosomes even leave indentations on the bones after death.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Right.
So anyway, this same thing.
I agree. See, Nerd Girl Jean says, I don't. Where was it at? I don't think he's abusive, but he definitely has control issues, and that's where I wonder if there's context being left out. Right? It does feel like the reason why he's doing this is maybe with that boundaryless, inappropriate thing. Did she cheat? And that's kind of where my head goes, because it kind of seems like it. And I really like this. Like, there's definitely control issues here. But he also says, and I also respect myself.
Hold on, because everybody's saying, wait, hold on. That's wrong, too. You said control issues. She said control issues. But how do we know this isn't something that they agreed to at some
Trust
point?
issue.
And she went, well, hold on. How do we know this isn't something that they agreed to at some point and she went against it?
Yeah, absolutely. We have no idea. And the fact that this is even out there shows me what kind of a person she is, right? Mm-hmm. The fact that we're even having this conversation on, are any of these dated?
I didn't see any timestamps or dates.
Yeah, I don't know how old they are. I know somebody said they're at least a year old.
See, like I said, why? Because she knew. She knows what she's doing. She knew this day would come. That's why she did this. This is 100% premeditated. This woman is being an ass. This is all selective, especially that comment with about the therapist. Mm-hmm. That says it all to me, because we don't know why the therapist said it. She's not telling us why the therapist said it. Jonah hasn't had his say. It's unfortunately the first one to throw. He hasn't even addressed it. And now there was a comment up here a second ago, something about how people can have narcissistic traits without being diagnosed. And that's the same problem. This is exactly what this researcher was highlighting when he commented on this diagnosis, because the word narcissist in the purest sense just has to do with high and exaggerated self-esteem. All this other stuff just got tacked on. And then that became that's somehow seen as something that legitimizes the diagnosis. Like you'll see some jerk out there named Dr. Ramani. She's a fucking fraud. One of the things she talks about how the difference is between psychopaths and sociopaths. One is born, one is made. That has not been established.
Right.
There's genetic in some research. There is suggestion that people are going to be born with excessive impulse and probably people who probably be more prone to be less empathetic as a result. But this has never been linked to the criminal psychopath or criminal sociopathic behavior that people are trying to pin it to. It has never been linked, but she's writing books about it. She's hosting seminars. She's charging people for conversation, and all because, and she's taking advantage of people that just don't know any better. And when she gets called out, she's just going to play dumb. She's just going to, she's going to say, it's psychopathic and abusive men just trying to silence her. But like I said, put the burden of proof on yourself, and then the truth comes out. So that's it. I'm done.
But that's the issue here. A lot of this is, false labeling. A lot of this is, I'm trying to find the video. There was a video from a therapist, and now I can't, of course, find it. That was basically saying, I'm a therapist. I'm a TikTok therapist, of all things, right? And he was weaponizing language in order to control her. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see this as anything but vindictive bullshit from a woman that
let's try
couldn't
this.
accept some basic boundaries.
Are these texts retaliation because he converted Kanye West?
Yeah, that, you know what? That could be. I think it's more along the lines of these are retaliation because she's a bitter bitch and he just had a baby and is happy in life.
Done deal. All right, you people heard it first. This is retaliation.
What else would it be? Why else would there be a reason to release this?
Because she wants the attention. She wants the hits. Obviously, she wants it for. This is all for herself. This is all attention going to her at somebody else's expense. She's a low.
She also changed. If you go on her Instagram, like all the, what was it? Like the captions on her pictures would be like a beautiful day in the neighborhood or whatever it said. And now they're all like, this narcissistic, misogynistic man changed me. Trauma. Changed half of her fucking captions, I guess. Now, I don't have Instagram, so I don't know for sure. I just seen somebody talking about it and showing the screenshots of it. But this feels like, and I can't find, Nerd Girl Jean said she wanted her to take down a photo of her fully dressed. Now that would be weird to me.
Again, it's a bunch of he said, she said, and there's also a lot of money involved because people are going to start getting money for interviews. And as already pointed out, she's got a single coming. She's, this whole thing strikes me as a call for attention for the money because you are, again, any good business, and if you're an athlete, your body is a business,
right?
Okay. So she's promoting herself. That's all I'm seeing. This is all attention, and promotion is the vast majority of success in business. You can have you have a great product and nobody knows what you do or who you are. Nobody ever goes your direction. You can have a half-assed product. Okay. And you can have a half-assed product. And if you know how to sell it, then you can scam some people out some good money. So that's all I'm seeing is this woman's just trying to get attention, get the money come her way, and it's at Jonah's expense so far. But if she's got better text than this, let's see them.
Right, but if she had better text than this, don't you think she would have released them initially?
I think if this were really a serious issue, then she would have done this sooner, not later.
Yeah, that's fair. I found it. This video is insane. This is a real quote unquote real therapist reacting to what Jonah Hill had to say. And again, I want to reiterate it because I feel like it needs to be said. If this were a woman having this conversation, if this were a woman saying, these are my boundaries, I know my worth, I respect myself, everybody would be having a different conversation.
Absolutely.
Everybody would be like, you go, girl. Right? You stand up for yourself. Because it's a dude, it's totally different.
Jonah Hill was using therapy speak to control his girlfriend, Sarah, his now ex-girlfriend. And it's important that we go over this misuse of therapy language, which is kind of a thing these days, and how it can be super problematic as it masks controlling behavior under a commonly accepted positive concept, in this case, boundaries, making it harder for the person on the receiving end, Sarah, to challenge it. Okay, so Jonah is basically telling his professional surfer girlfriend, I am not going to be with you if you surf with men, have boundaryless friendships with men, model, post pictures.
Wait. Did you notice what he did there?
Yes, I noticed the quotations. First things that stood out to me.
Not that. He completely skipped over the word inappropriate.
Right. Now, let me also hear. Before we continue, guys, listen carefully because this is why I'm going to give you guys a lesson in why a lot of these divides, these divides in politics and all these social divides don't really have a lot of bearing on me. Learn the difference between words of opinion and statements of fact and separate the two. and then go back to the facts and watch, and then now try and get an understanding of what's going on. So go ahead. We'll talk about it as we go. But yeah, so far he's
or post suggestive pictures and are
Leaving
friends
that
with
out
women
is
who
so
are
ridiculous.
in unstable places. He goes on to say that these are my boundaries for a romantic relationship.
He completely skipped over to post sexual pictures. This is what I hate, is the gaslighting bullshit. He's skipping over so much, leaving out I know it's right in front of you. I understand it's right in front of you.
But more than that, he's sarcastically using quotations with his hands as if this stuff isn't written right in front of you.
And then it's to be dismissive of the situation, the real situation.
Right.
Jonah's use of the term boundaries in this message is a misuse of the concept. A boundary is a healthy limit a person sets for themselves to protect their well-being and integrity. It is a rule or guideline that one creates to identify reasonable, safe, and permissible ways for others to behave towards them and how they'll respond when someone passes those limits. However, in the message Jonah sent to Sarah, he is not setting boundaries that protect his emotional well-being.
Yes, he is.
Instead, he is dictating what behaviors and friendships Sarah is permitted to have. He's essentially instructing Sarah on who she can be friends with, what she can do professionally, and how she can show up online. This is not an example of healthy boundary setting. Instead, it reflects an attempt at control.
And I do think there's a little bit of overstepping in what he had to say in Jonah. But I feel like we're missing context as to why. Go ahead.
I feel like he's skipping out on context. He even
absolutely.
He didn't even highlight the part where he mentioned, and it's there in writing towards the bottom, where it says that these are issues that have hurt their trust before.
Yes.
And like I said, she didn't refute that. She did not fight back. She did not say any of that was wrong. It just shows what he said. Right.
Because and now if she gave context to that, it may make the situation make a lot more sense. And that would probably be detrimental towards her.
Right. And then what would a guy like this do? For as big as his skull is, he's not coming off very smart.
No. And it's wild to me that he's a therapist. And he's saying these are boundaries you set to protect your emotion. He's not saying you can't see your parents. You're not allowed to leave the house. You have to wear, nun clothes. He's saying boundaryless, inappropriate relationships with men.
I think if she got to dress as a nun, that would make this worse, not better.
I mean, you could make that nun costume look hot. I'm just saying.
That's what I'm talking about.
It demonstrates a lack of respect for Sarah's autonomy and individuality. Jonah's message is more about restricting Sarah's behavior to suit his comfort levels and insecurities, rather than expressing his feelings or needs in a healthy manner. A healthier and less manipulative approach might be for Jonah to express how Sarah's actions make him feel without using ultimatums about what she should or should not do.
Okay, hold on. How do we know he didn't previously tell her how he made him feel, and that's why the ultimatums came, right? How do we know that? We don't. We don't know any of that, but these people just assume that this is a bad situation.
This guy's just selling himself. First off, he knows how to play the game. If you're a therapist, you got to understand psychotherapy is a combination of science and art. So they know that brains condition with time, with practice, in different environments. Okay, and therapy is an attempt to help organize your thought. I don't want to say reconditioning, because then people start talking about hypnosis and shit, but therapy legitimately is an attempt to help you organize your thoughts. So yes, it's brain training, but it's supposed to be trained. It is supposed to be training to your benefit. So that's why they help you organize your thoughts and help identify a problem. But there are not strict rules into identifying the problem. The therapist has to lean on life experience at the same time. And that's where the art comes in. So what you see in therapy, you will see some people who are more scientists than artists, but then you get guys like this that know it's a combination of art and science, and they take advantage of you, the listener, because they know that you don't know any better.
Absolutely.
I've had I had a friend that was he was a social science, he was a social psychologist, and another friend that was a counselor. So I've known these people. I've gotten to know what these people actually do and how they practice. Nothing that this guy did is at all what my friends would have done.
Right.
You don't just look at the statements and call that it. Okay, this isn't politics. You don't just look at what's in writing and then take it as gospel truth. There are questions to be asked. You need to establish cause-effect relationships. This is not doing that.
No,
All
exactly.
he's doing is, yeah, 100%. All he's doing is pointing at Jonah because he knows his crowd is going to listen. That's all this guy's doing.
Right. And we don't even know. Jonah could have been extremely controlling. We don't know. And this doesn't, one way or the other, defy that. And he's trying to say this absolutely is definitively controlling behavior. We don't actually know that.
And no argument for me, we don't know. But that's also my point. We don't know. And this text doesn't tell, none of these texts tell us that much.
Exactly. Robert, thank you so much. Microsoft won the lawsuit. They can buy Activision now. Kind of seeing that coming.
I thought so.
Yeah, I totally thought so. And a girl is right. Every situation is different. There's no context. There's no reason to think that, like, Jonah needs canceled now. Oh my God. No, don't do this. Don't do this social media or trial by social media.
No, especially because Jonah has not spoken. As far as I know. Have you, in fact, go ahead, play the video. I'll look at the news right now, see if I find anything.
I don't think he has, but
side note, I bet he loved how hot Sarah looked in her posts before they got together. So this is a bunch of bullshit. Anyway, Jonah needs to consider Sarah's needs and feelings and not just focus on his own, which it seems like he's selfishly doing. One last thing, Jonah Hill made a lovely documentary about therapy, and it's a shame to see him weaponizing what he learned to attempt to manipulate his girlfriend. That sucks.
Oh, I didn't know he made a documentary.
I never heard of that.
I mean, we don't, this is the problem with stuff like this. It's generally done for attention. It shouldn't even be out there years or a year later. I don't know the time period. And it shouldn't even be in the conversation. It really, truly seems like with a baby just coming a month ago that she is a little jaded, maybe a little jealous. Like, this is just my opinion. It seems as a woman, and I've met a lot of women, hung out with a few of them, women can be petty and vindictive.
And they get there. That's true. And that's exactly what we're seeing right here, though. Or at least it strikes me like that, because these are out of the context. Everything's about what he said, nothing about what you said. So we don't even know why he said it. And that's the part that just irritates me the most when things like this happen. And this is, again, I'm blaming this culture of throwing around labels. Again, things like narcissists and such, it all just gets thrown around, and it's lost meaning to the point where now it's just a label that gets applied to men that women have a problem with in the moment. And it gets thrown around so much. Unfortunately, here's the thing. Women are the ones that usually believe it. And then that causes problems, though, because men usually don't pay close attention to it.
Right.
It needs to be convincing. It can't just be that women are throwing around labels. But women subscribe to this stuff more often than not. And unfortunately, they take that stuff with them everywhere in life. And you know, I can't tell you, I can't tell you step for step who's going to cause the problems first. But if you have these bad ideas in your head all the time and you meet somebody new, you're haunted by it. So you were weighing yourself down before you met that guy. And you took problems into a relationship. You took problems into a relationship with you. So even if this guy did nothing wrong, on the way out, he's going to face all these ugly labels. And that's just going to, and again, it makes bad things worse because men see it. Here's the thing. Good men see it. They're so frustrated with it, they just stop listening. The actual abusive men who see it, they're honestly just not even affected by it because they know how to play and lie anyway. So it just doesn't matter. So all that's really ultimately all I'm seeing are women being held down by mindlessly throwing labels around or angrily throwing labels around just in case they stick. And for people like her who are who, again, so far it looks like she's doing this just for the attention.
Spite. And I think it's really important, one thing when it comes to just people in general, right? Know your worth. Know your abilities. Know how much you can give into a relationship or take. Know what you're worth. Don't be insecure. I'm even talking here. Insecurities can take away from what your worth is. Maybe Jonah just felt like his worth was better than a woman posting something, sexually inappropriate. And we don't get to decide what somebody else's boundaries are. We simply don't. Shelby said right here, who the hell is to dictate what Jonah's boundaries are? No. We don't get to do that. That's an individual idea.
Yeah, ultimately, without an extensive conversation between the two of them, we're not going to know where any of this conversation around boundaries really came from.
Exactly. And he could be insecure. I mean, we all are, right? We're all insecure to some degree.
Understandably, it happened. All right.
Yeah, but that's again, we don't get to dictate boundaries. Did you find anything?
Fox News has an article from an hour ago. I'm looking around for a little bit more. Let's see. Newsweek
I don't
just
think he
posted
said
one.
anything.
Yes.
Isn't
Newsweek
Jonah
says,
Orthodox Jewish? Yes, and he converted, I guess. Kanye.
I will send you the link from Newsweek saying that Sarah Brady says there is much more she's not sharing about Jonah Hill.
I seen that. Sure.
Okay.
Why? Why are you? Then show it if it's this horrible thing. You brought it up. You did this.
Well, the way Restream changed, I can't send you the link in the private chat anymore.
Oh, that's weird.
Private. I'm trying to select it and it's not working. But anyway, Newsweek does have an article out right now. Supposedly there's more that she's not sharing, and this is exactly the problem. Little by little, see what I mean? She's holding out the juicy bits so she can keep the attention coming to her over time. This is all strategic.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I feel really bad for Jonah's, I think it's his fiance. And because she just had a baby in the end of June, I believe. So the baby's a month old. She just got engaged. And now she's having to deal with crazy ex-girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for her.
Quoting the article from Newsweek, Brady first shared screenshots last Friday and Saturday captioning them, "This is a warning to all girls. If your partner is talking to you like this, then make an exit plan." She added, "Sharing this publicly now because keeping it to myself was causing more damage to my mental health than sharing it ever could. Then you should have just fucking shared it."
Yeah. And Black Phoenix is right. Why go into a relationship trying to change something? That's where I'm like, we don't know the context. It's cringe, guys. Don't go into a relationship being like, I can fix him or I can fix her. I know it's a joke, but you don't go into a relationship like that. Her posting pictures for her job, I 100% think he's silly to be upset about. But we don't know because it said sexually charged photos, right? It said sexual or inappropriate boundaryless relationships with men. There's something hidden in there. There's something. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think she's hiding a lot and saying, oh, there's more.
Yeah. And look, here's another quote. It may seem, another quote from Brady, "It may seem as if I'm sharing a lot, but you all have no idea how much more there is. There is, which I am choosing not to share out of consideration for him and his family," like the line.
Okay, sure.
Jonah Hill is using therapy speak to control his girlfriend Sarah, his now ex-girlfriend, according to was Jeff Gunther the goofball we were just listening to?
Yeah, I believe so, because that video went pretty viral.
Yeah. Okay. Well, whoever it is, yeah. Yeah, the ones, using therapy language, mask controlling behavior under the commonly accepted positive concept, in this case, boundaries, making it harder for the person on the receiving end, Sarah, to challenge it. But see, now, what's wrong with using therapy language if you're a therapist, you dickbag?
But don't you go to therapy to learn how to communicate better with your partner So wasn't he doing exactly what he went to therapy for?
Yeah, you go to therapy to learn from the therapist's words and apply them.
Yeah.
So of course he's going to apply what he learned. And now they went to a couples counselor. So that means they both agreed there were problems that they wanted fixed.
Yes.
Right. And like I said, that's not being highlighted here, very well. Obviously, like I said, everything about these texts are selective. This is all strategic. This is strategically.
I feel like if there was more that was worse, we would have already seen it, right? If there was like truly, because he said at the end about, I keep going back to the controlling thing, that there could be a level of that. But he did say, I will support you. If you went out, that's okay. I'll support you either way. Like, he wanted her happy. Maybe that's manipulation, but we don't know.
You guys got to understand. I grew up, my brother is about 11 years older than me. His marriage took place in the house where I grew up. I have seen I've seen an abusive relationship unfold for the bulk of my years under the age of 19. And this isn't how it looks. If he says you wanted to go, then it sounds to me like he knew this was ending.
Yeah.
If I'm reading that with a fair mind, it just looks like he knew it was ending. So he said,
or he was giving her an out because he didn't want to do it. Maybe he was a little bit of a pussy. Like, if this isn't good enough for you, you can get out. It's okay. Go ahead, leave. No, it's fine. It's fine, honey. Just go. Like, it kind of, I don't know. I'm not going to label this dude an abuser, though. And I've seen a lot of that going around.
Right. And that's not, of course, there's no evidence of abuse in any of this, except that people carry preconceptions of them with you based on these ugly labels like narcissists that get thrown around. And that's what I'm trying to hit home here. The people who bring all these fears with them, those are my words, really. You are bringing these fears with you. Yes, there are some really bad people out there. No argument for me. I've seen it. Okay, my brother beat the shit out of his wife, and he knocked her down, threw her to the floor, and she came back after him. She did all kinds of shit to him too. So I have seen that's another thing. I have watched two abusive people thrive to abuse each other for the bulk of my years under the age of 19. So I have seen these senseless dynamics play out before. So no argument. So please understand, when I say I know these people exist, I have seen it. But if you live your whole life, if you live your whole life thinking these people are everywhere, then yeah, you will start to see them everywhere because they will always be in your head, and you will never find peace. That's
wild to me. It's wild to me. I wanted to show you this a little bit before we end. I was really, I know I should have done it at the beginning, but I wanted to make sure we got to that. But listen to this is the issue that Ana had with the gaslighting. I want you to hear how bad it is, because I actually really like a lot of the Amazing Atheist stuff, but the gaslighting from the left to her has been ridiculous.
Here's a clip of Ana birthing person Kasparian on the Madam and Bitch show, talking about how she no longer calls herself part of the left because, she's so open to like new information now. A lot of new information floating around out there, and she's just hungry for it, gobbling it up like Pac-Man, munching those fucking pellets. You know what I mean?
What the?
New information, baby. It's so tasty. We all know what the fuck this means, right? We've seen this before. This is a goddamn rerun. This is one of those like why I left the left grifts. You know what I mean? Wherein a member, specifically a young.
Why is and Figure Drawing said this earlier too. Why is everything a grift?
Everybody's trying to delegitimize the other. Remember, everybody is trying to be above criticism. So if you have a critic, you got to label them. Underlying theme, right? The same thing that's been going on this entire conversation. Everything's about ugly labels going back and forward to see which ones stick. And that's why everything's a grift. Everybody's a fraud. Everybody's a liar. Except everybody's a fraud except the one speaking.
But isn't making money on YouTube, being entertaining, whatever you want to say, what actually is wrong with that?
No, I don't think anything's wrong with that. But if you're asking why everything is supposedly a grift, it's because, again, everybody's subscribing to a movement trying to be above criticism, trying to have their own corner of the earth for themselves. I hope they find it, but somewhere away from me.
But don't you see the issue with the gaslighting? Like, is this, like, he acted like new information was bad, or getting the whole story was a big fucking deal?
I don't think he cares. I think we're looking at another one of those that looks to what's in writing first and then tries to make sense of the world second.
It's wild to me. I was just shocked. Like,
Turks member, by the way, because this is the third time it's goddamn happened over there at the Young Turks that I know about. A Young Turks member slowly turns themselves into a right-wing grifting machine.
I think Dave
over the
Rubin is
course
from
of a
Young
year
Turks.
or
I'm
so.
pretty sure.
So
but
let's
here's
take a
also
look
another
at this
thing.
clip, and then we'll talk about it a little bit, eh?
Awesome.
I'm going to skip the clip because we've seen
The
it.
internet being what it is, all sorts of people from all sorts of political ideologies have
Dun-dun-dun.
theories.
Man, how many of these Young Turks needs to turn out to be old turds before we discount that institution entirely, huh? The Young Turks, I'm sorry, the old turds really is just kind of a great...
Is this supposed to be, like, I generally like a lot of his content, but...
Here's what he's doing, and this is a similar problem. You remember somebody in the chat was chewing me out a little bit ago because I did not parrot what is called a leftist narrative, and
Right.
that's exactly what we're seeing here. So you saw what happened. Anna refused to subscribe to one talking point: the idea that birthing person is the right way to say it. The idea that birthing person cancels out women. First off, I'm not on the right wing. I've always said that.
Right.
Well, she finally stopped lying. She finally stopped denying that this is the fact,
Censoring herself.
Right. And this is what I was saying earlier. People are forcing themselves, like Chris Rock said, Democrats leave out the truth. And that's what she was doing. She was highlighting a certain portion of the story called the narrative, and that's the part that she was hitting home. And she wanted people to believe that this is really what she subscribed to. Truth is, everybody was just trying to get back at the other side. Everybody was, if you were not on the right wing, then you just wanted the right wing to fail. So you just say anything that sticks. Like I said, I can show you somebody's total right wing conspiracy theorist. And I wish people could see the conversations that I have when they're like, everybody here knows I'm a supporter. I support Gothics.
Ron DeSantis.
What about him? Why'd you say Ron DeSantis?
I don't know. I was just kidding.
Oh, anyway, I wish people could see the conversations I have when she's not on stream. I've only been a part of a few of them, but when the conversations are very different when people are not on stream. What you're seeing on stream is people trying to get back at somebody, and they just throw out whatever sticks. And that's what
That sounds fucking okay. Here's the thing.
What's up?
I went initially, like, I did have a very public change of heart when it came to a lot of the entertainment stuff. I went through it very publicly, right? And I feel like I'm at a place where I'm a lot more logical then than I was now. Now than I was then, and a lot more fair and more accepting. I was always accepting, but I was also of the mind, like, you can't change anything. You can't, I was stuck in my ways. And I've gotten a lot of people use the grift term. I've gotten a lot of people, maybe Anna, and that's maybe why I have the soft spot for this situation, because I've been in that position. I know what it feels like to be attacked by your audience and make it through the other side. I know what that feels like. And for me, it wasn't nearly as big spectacle, right? But there was a lot of the gaslighting. There was a lot of the bullshit. There was a lot of this is I don't know. The left wing's popular, so now Tristan's a lefty. I'm not a lefty, but regardless, I'm liberal, right? I think she's being sincere. I think she's finally, for the first time in a long time, being sincere.
That's exactly my point. I don't believe that she. Well, I do believe she said.
You just got really quiet.
Hang on. Keep talking. I'll be right back.
Okay. And that's the thing. I do like a lot of TJ, Amazing Atheist stuff, right? But I think I'm realizing also the idea that you've got a more radical side to everyone. And yeah, I do too. A lot of people don't like that I support trans rights or this rights. But like, I'm very much so of the mind of live and let live, right? You've got freedom. You've got this. Why do they care if she does or does not leave the left? I think it's because she's been such a big figure, and I don't think she's leaving the left. It's not like she was all of a sudden like, fuck trans, right? Fuck gay people, right?
No, that's
don't clip
the thing.
that.
At this point, I don't think they care if she leaves the left. They don't care if she's out of the cult now. All because of one statement. Look what happened earlier in the chat. I didn't say anything controversial, but it was preconceived as controversial and damn near blew up the chat for minutes at a time. Every time he didn't like something I had to say. And that's been a big problem with the left wing. It's far in politics, really, but especially the left wing.
It's very authoritarian on both sides where you have to agree lockstep.
Right. And what you saw is that Ana is not lockstep. Finally, she found. But here's the thing. A lot of the tensions died. They're still ongoing, but because of all the infighting, everybody within the cult got tired of each other. So now you're seeing individual differences matter. And Ana finally stopped the birthing person bullshit and said, this is ridiculous. She never really liked it, even though, she showed support for it in the past, which was weird. That's about the time I started seeing people do that, which was a weird thing to me. But it obviously, she took time to reflect on what she was saying and what those words actually mean, and she had enough. So she finally put the burden of proof on herself instead of just parroting and regurgitating. And finally, this is the result. And of course, people who have not figured that part out yet, that's why those are the ones that are actually ridiculing. And that's fine. That she's good. She's a woman liberated yet again. She stopped subscribing to a cult. So now she's an individual. Now she belongs to nobody but herself. She did the right fucking thing. Period.
Apparently, Amazing Atheist stuck a banana up his ass. Why is that even a thing? Bye, Black Phoenix. That is odd. I guess the quartering's an idiot, right? But why does that exist? And what? Okay, all right.
Training ground for this why I left the left grift, because first we saw it with Dave Rubin when he saw the money or the light, whatever your narrative might be. Then it was Jimmy Dore, who used to simp like so hard for like chunk yogurt that he actually would spit on his enemies. Remember that? Remember when Alex Jones started puffing out his chest at Chunk? And then Jimmy Dore starts spitting at him like, we spit on you,
that's
Alex
disgusting.
Jones. How dare you attack my lovely Chunk. But now, of course, Jimmy Dore hates Chunk. Ooh, I hate him, And now it's everyone's favorite shrill fucking harpy, Ana Kasparian. Yeah, she's gonna join Dave the Slave and Gimme Jimmy over on that
aren't they against misogyny? He's calling her a harpy, a shrill harpy.
She's still talking about Ana?
Yeah.
And I lost track a little bit because he started going all over the place. I didn't follow Anna's work closely. In fact, when she started doing the birthing person thing, that's when I thought of her as just another leftist, just another far end leftist, just trying to get back at the left. But at the same time, I'm asking myself, how do you subscribe to that? Because that was something that's frustrating me. Because here, watch this. When I actually did go to Reddit, there's a probably still a popular subreddit called 2X chromosomes. It's basically just a woman's space.
Okay.
Now, occasionally, and they would talk about things like the abuse they face, whether it's at work, at home, daily life, whatever. There was always a guy somewhere in there that would say it could happen to men too, and women would shut him up because they would say, "Yeah, we know, but this is for women talking about their problems with each other for other women." Yeah, but look what happens when that guy introduces a male perspective. Here's the thing. It's not even so much about introducing the male perspective, but the way guys often went about it. A lot of times it looked like they were just trying to neutralize the struggles of these women. And a lot of times they would admit, yes, they really are. And birthing person had the same effect. And birthing person had the same effect. And so I've known for a while that women know when this is going on. And time again, when this birthing person thing was, it never really caught on that much. It's always just been a back and forward thing.
Well, you see a lot of, with the birthing person thing, I've seen a lot of like interviews for people on the left that have used it as, that's why I was saying it's not just a medical term. I've seen people use it on interviews, whether it's CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. It's used more than just medical. And that is so degrading.
First off, I want to see evidence that birthing person existed before 1990. I
did.
I don't. And people said it's like a 2,000-year-old medical term. Where the fuck does that come from?
Somebody said that?
I'm seeing shit like that. That it's,
it's
like
God.
An age-old medical term. It's like 1,000 years old or 2,000 years old. And I'm thinking, where the fuck did that come from? Now it might be a literal translation from another language,
right?
But that doesn't mean that. Here's the thing: sometimes words have feminine and masculine forms, so it could transition. You could translate that from another language into English. So literally, maybe it says birthing person, but maybe contextually in that native language, it actually meant woman.
Right.
But like I say, I haven't seen any evidence that birthing person is an age-old medical term. I have never seen any reference to birthing person. I've only seen pregnant women.
I'm looking right now. The earliest I can find on here is 2008, but that doesn't mean
thousands of years old.
I've actually not only heard it in the past few years, like maybe 2 or 3.
I've occasionally heard pregnant person, but then everyone says you mean woman, and that brings in. Just shows you how far back.
Do you remember when that was going around, chest feeder instead of breastfeeding?
Yeah, but I thought that was just because some women chose to feed that way. I didn't think that had anything. Well, okay. You're talking about more recently, yeah, chest feeder, which is a female feature. It's easier just to call them women,
and it's easier to say breastfeeding. It's demeaning, you guys. That's what you don't see. Is if you want to stick up for trans people, I totally understand that because I will be there too. But you also have to consider women in the situation. Right. And if you can't act like I'm being the demeaning one when there's a lot of other women, we were talked about Anna, that agree with me. Women have rights too, right? Like,
yeah. And remember, historically, when women were oppressed, the men who did it knew exactly who they were looking at, knew exactly who they were doing it to, and that consistently held up. So it's not like there's a mystery. It's not like these descriptive terms referencing male and female. It's not like they were never useful. That's why the people who were oppressed, like when women were oppressed, they couldn't vote by example, couldn't own their own property. They were property of women. That changed with the 14th Amendment, amongst other things. Lots of things.
Right.
Changed. But anyway, the men who did this, they knew exactly who they were doing it to. The only way they could do that is if female or woman or whatever, if the only way they could do that is if that were a reliable concept, something observable. And like we see here, Otis in the chat, he has 3 kids. None of his doctors ever called his wife a birthing person.
No, absolutely not. And even Robert, and nobody's heard of this past a few years, and that's okay. We can use it in a medical term, but you have to not, like, women were oppressed. Don't start oppressing them again. Don't start dehumanizing them again. And that's what brings me back to like the woke thing, right? I said I think I know the term woke. This to me would be woke. You're oppressing or dehumanizing women in order to lift up trans people. You can do both, right? You don't have to oppress one group or the other. No,
it shouldn't have to be that way. And I understand where people are coming from, like people who have transitioned, they believe they were born in the wrong. So first off, some of them are cosmetic. No, and that's another thing. If you're doing it for cosmetic reasons, you're not supposed to have the same standing in an argument that's as somebody else that believes they were born in the wrong body. That's not the same thing. Some people are doing it cosmetic, or sometimes because they're gay. Like some of the males are just gay, and they feel like I never heard them say they were born in the wrong body, but maybe they just feel like they would like to have some feminine features. Okay, that's cosmetic. That's not the same thing as people who are freaking out because they feel like they were born in the wrong body. So you don't have.
There's a medical reason for that. There is gender dysphoria. That is an actual thing. There are amazing like one YouTuber I really, really enjoy, who highlights trans struggles, trans issues. She works for Gladys, Samantha Lux. And I bring her up because she is an advocate not only for women, but for trans women, for trans people. But she doesn't dehumanize one side or the other. That's my biggest issue, is how you make others feel, right? Like, okay, I'm not going to do the whole like words are violence things, because I love that line in Selective Outrage. She's like, anybody who says words are violence haven't got punched in the face.
Right. I had that problem because remember I told you I had a friend. It's like diehard leftist who's driving me fucking nuts. And I told him the same thing. Words aren't violence. He said, well, let me throw a brick at your head if you think that's not violence.
No shit.
A brick isn't a word, you dickbag.
You can write bigot on it and then throw it.
I think he actually did say something like that. That he'll put a note on it first. And
there you go. Make it violent.
Well, you don't know the difference between words and a brick, and you wonder why I say you're an alcoholic. But he actually has had a long history of drinking. That's why I said that. But like I said, at that time, I had never seen that kind of intense political zeal. My only response, and this was all when that stuff was on the rise. This is all like Donald Trump's first year of presidency. I don't even think he had been investigated yet, and he was giving me this shit. I honestly just thought he was a raging alcoholic, that he had just lost touch with reality. And
oh my god!
And then I just thought he didn't even know when he was rambling. Yeah, it is. But that was my honest reaction. I wasn't just doing that to talk shit. I wasn't just picking on him. I really believed that he just completely lost touch with reality. That's why I kept telling him to get help. Stop denying it.
Do you remember this situation? Alba said, thoughts on the fake boob, fake teacher that does it. That was wild.
Dude looked like he was stealing kids in his shirt.
That was the biggest troll I have seen.
You could see kids trying to punch their way out there. Oh, let me out of here!
How the fuck he didn't get? Did he ever end up getting fired?
I thought the whole reason he made headlines is because he was fired, but for that reason. And that's the thing. It took place in Canada, and Canada has championed the Canadian government has championed being more tolerant than the American government.
Oh yeah, much more progressive.
Yeah, well, then that's part of the reason the right wing had so much fun with that, because an openly progressive government didn't Basically, they had enough. Basically, they reached the boiling point. They reached the tipping point. And it just seems profoundly inconsistent with what American progressives were holding true. And if you look at the backlash that came from American Twitter, then the right, that's why the right wing just had so much fun with it, because it was irritating people. But it was also highlighting something. As much as people said you're supposed to be who you are, obviously people think there are limits. And while,
right, absolutely. And that's what I've talked to you about before. I don't like the self-identify bullshit either. Poor girl. He lives in her city. That is hilarious.
And what's it?
And in Canada, the tits boy.
Right.
He was put on administrative leave. I mean, rightfully so. Like, I get he was trolling, and there was also some situations where, like, I don't know, it was a bodybuilder, said he identified as female and went in as a bearded motherfucker, like, straight up, like, burly looking dude saying, I'm a female, so I can compete in this, and actually won. And
still has his balls showing.
Yeah, like everything. That's people, the two issues people have with, there's got to be, and again, I am for trans rights, but there's got to be some sort of compromise, or you're going to keep losing, right? You're going to keep losing. There's going to be 400 more bills against trans people.
Right. Yeah. A lot of that's going to get shut down when it comes to surgeries. First off, understand surgeries are cosmetic. They're at this time, and you can thank the left-wing activists for this one. There are no diagnostic tools to determine whether. Have you
seen Blair White lately? Talking of cosmetic surgery, oh my God, that girl looks plastic as fuck.
Blair always has.
Yeah, but she used to be cute. Now she looks like a sex doll. I mean, that was totally misogynistic, but it's the truth.
No, that is 100% porcelain at play.
Like, she used to be gorgeous. What the?
Blair is now half toilet at this point.
It's wild. This is another, like, there's so many issues with females, like, using so much plastic surgery and so much makeup. You're supposed to just simply highlight your beauty, not get rid of it. Like, I guess whatever, right? If it makes you happy, it makes you happy. I don't care. It doesn't affect me. But come on, ladies.
How is Blair not dead yet? Something had to have get botched at this point. Like, statistically speaking, is if you're going to keep putting that shit in your body, something's going to get into the bloodstream.
I can't watch her videos because I just stare at her tits. Because I know in my head how fake they are, and I just want to see how they feel. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
you just want to see if something comes out of there begging for help. And I fell.
Oh my God. It's so wild. Like, the whole situation, the cosmetics of it. I don't care. You do you, boo. I don't care. Just learn that you can't control everybody. And a simple, I don't want to, women's rights, we're standing up for yourself, is not going against the left. It's not. I'm sorry, it's not.
No, hold on.
Goodness.
The guy that said he was female won $1,000 in the female poker tournament. That doesn't matter. Women don't play by different rules in poker.
Right, poker, chess, those kind of things, whatever. But like bodybuilding or that swimming situation, like, come on, guys. You got to understand that there is difference. There is studies that shows there are differences. If you've gone through puberty as a male, there's going to be differences. We are different, and that's okay. We are yin and yang.
Right, and one of those differences people don't really talk about is bone structure. It's a bit complicated, and I don't fully understand the science of it myself, but basically because of your bone structure and depending on the actual angles that your muscles grow, you can end up stronger, even if you're like two guys are similar in size, based on things you can't see from outside the body, but based on the positioning of the muscles on the bone.
Yes.
Some guy, one guy will be stronger than the other, even though they're, basically the same size.
And it's not transphobic to say that.
Right. And then when you transition to female, you're still going to have that. And that was one of the problems that a lot of athletes took with transitioning fighters going into mixed martial arts.
Oh, remember that?
Fallon Fox.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And that was
brutal.
Well, that's the big issue because Fallon still has, because again, born male, so you still have the bone structure of a male.
Yes.
And you still have the muscle density of the male. And even though the hormones might make you weak, first off, the Fallon was never weak. Okay, the testosterone still works perfectly fine. In fact, I think he failed a drug test once for excess testosterone.
Oh my God. I really do feel bad for the woman that went up against them. Didn't they get like a jaw or something? It was something pretty severe.
Broken skull. Yeah, there was a skull fracture.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like I said, the bone density is different. The muscle density is different. Like I said, the positioning of the muscle, that's something that follows the Y chromosome that Fallon still has. These are all things that they really do. They change the conversation around safety.
Right.
To me,
and this is where there's too much internet for the day. There are people trying to induce a bleeding asshole so they can claim they had a period. What the fuck, Shelby?
I think he made that up.
Absolutely.
Prove it or
Holy
don't,
shit.
but don't show the proof to us. Just prove that to yourself, please.
Yeah. Holy fuck balls. What?
Well, I hope that was a lie.
I pray that, like, I know TikTok can be crazy, but holy shit. No. All right, guys, we are going to wrap up. Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
How's your channel?
Yeah, I got a lot going on. I'm glad I haven't even started streaming because I have way too much other stuff going on. It wasn't going to be consistent.
Life gets in the way. Adulting sucks,
doesn't it? But when these things are sorted out, I'll let you know.
Sounds good to me. All right, guys. I am going to
hold on while you're still here. I know we've been here almost 3 hours. I know you got to go. But what is in your future? You never take this time to talk about enough.
I know I'm really bad about that. Well, the Mortal Kombat we got through Armageddon, and that was really cool. I was like, okay, we're gonna do this whole hype thing. We're gonna go through all the old games, and they ended up being really bad, worse than I remember. So, Robert and I are going to do a breakdown tomorrow on the beginning of DC Comics Night Terrors and top fives and comic stuff. But then I'm actually going out on a ledge here. I'm going to start Final Fantasy.
The newest one?
Yeah. I'm nervous. I'm nervous I'm going to suck. I'm so nervous. But I hear it's great, and I hear it's a good place to jump in on. And everything about it looks so pretty.
Wow, anime has changed.
Oh, Robert's gonna start The Last of Us. Fucking finally. Just saying. I'm nervous though. Like, it looks intimidating because it's so what would you call it? It's so epic. It's so cinematic. It's so big. And I'm used to fighting games or killing zombies or something like that. So I'm a little nervous.
Why?
Because I'm a casual gamer. I'm not like one of these great players.
It's all about planning. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. But yeah, but that's a good look for your channel. All right. Well, then that's good. All right. So you have a bright future in store for you. And as far as today, yeah, we're closed, guys. We're done for the day. Took a lot. This is the longest stream we've had in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a good subject matter. I wanted to go through it because there was some good things to talk about. But thank you, Joseph, so much. You know, Joseph will be back. I'll be bugging him. So we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
And women exist.
Yes, absolutely.